We're on Eruvin, Perek Yud Mishnah Tet Vav, the very last Mishnah on Eruvin. Very exciting. Says the Mishnah, sheretz shenimtza b'mikdash. Let's say you find a sheretz, which is an unclean animal. Okay, that's a tamei. So there's tumah in the Beit Hamikdash. It's a rodent, some kind of vermin, whatever. There's different kinds of animals that are shretzim. Kohen motzio behem yano. A kohen should take his hem yano, is his belt, his avnet. He should take it out right away. Shelo l'shahot et atuma, because you don't want to leave. You don't want to be shahet atuma. You don't want to leave the tumah in the Beit Hamikdash in any circumstance at all for any amount of time. Divrei Rabbi Yochanan ben Baroka. It says Rabbi Yochanan ben Baroka. So how do you do it? Why should he take it with his belt? Because remember, the belt is let's see for a second. He takes it with his belt, right? Afagav de mitamei leila avneit. The sheretz is mitamei the avneit. It's better because the avneit can't make him tamei. The avnei becomes a rishon, and the rishon doesn't make the kohen tamei. So therefore, don't touch it. Use your belt, even though it makes the avnei tamei. What's the other option? Rabbi Yehuda says, bitzvat shel eitz, like a piece of wood. They say tongs, but not a kli. You just make you take these two pieces of wood and you remove it. Why? They're not mekabel tuma. So therefore, shelo l'rabot et tuma, because you don't want to increase tuma. So that's always the conundrum. If I take it with his belt, then the belt becomes tamei, but you save time. If you take it with a piece of wood, with two pieces of wood, they don't become tamei. They're not mekabel tuma, but it takes longer because you got to go find the wood. So which is the better option? To minimize tuma, shelo l'shahot et tuma, or to minimize time? It's a really interesting question. That's the machloka between the Tanaim. Oh, where do you find it? From where do you have to remove it if you find this sheretz, this unclean animal in the Beit Hamikdash? Tanakama says min ha'hechal umin ha'ulam umibein ha'ulam la'mizbeach. From the hechal and ulam, and between the ulam and the mizbeach, divrei Rabbi Shimon ben Nanas. So says Rabbi Shimon ben Nanas. Let's see in the picture. We have a picture here. I could make it bigger. Let's see how much bigger I can make it. So if you see here, here's the hechal. See if my computer responds. This is the ulam. That's way too big. So I'm not gonna play around with it. Let's make it smaller. Okay, the hechal and then the ulam. So this is the option, the top side of this is the top view. So the hechal is mamash where the kelim are. The ulam is the area before it, and between the ulam and the mizbeach, this is the place where only kohanim are allowed to go. Okay, there's Ezra. It's interesting. He didn't say Ezra kohanim. And Ezra Yisrael, the Israelim were allowed to enter into here and come all the way up to this point, and that's as far as they could go. They could watch from there. The Ezra Kohanim, they were allowed to go from here. But he says not even Ezra Kohanim, between the Mizbeach and the Ulam and inward. That's where you have to remove the sheretz. Let's go back to our Mishnah. Okay. That's Rabbi Shimon ben Nanas. Rabbi Akiva says no. Makom shchayavin al zdono karet v'al shigago chatat. Any place that if you entered when you're tamei, on purpose, bizadon, you're chayav karet. And if you do it by accident, you have to bring a chatat. Misham motzi'inoto, that's where you have to remove the sheretz. Let's go back. Ushar kol mekomot, and any other place, if it's not that place, kofin alav psachter. Psachter is a metal pot. So then you just put over a metal pot and you remove it after talking about on Shabbat. So therefore, that's Rabbi Kiva says, kol makom shchayvin al zudono karet. If you enter this place, this is the definition. Any place that a person would enter the Beit Hamikdash, i.e., the whole azara, you are not allowed to enter the area of the Beit Hamikdash in betumah. And if you do, you're chayav karet, any area of the Beit Hamikdash, not just the place of the avodah, but even the ezrat nashim, the whole azara. That's in any of this area, you remove the sheretz. Any other place around the chil, I guess, in the lishkot or what have you. Then you would not remove it. You would cover it, and then you would remove it after Shabbat. The Mishnah concludes with a very interesting statement, unusual. That it's complicated to explain, but that's what we're here for. Rabbi Shimon Omer. Rabbi Shimon says, "Makom she'tiru lecha chachamim, mishelcha natnu lecha." The place where the chachamim they permitted it, mishelcha, from you. Shelo hitiru lecha el mishum shvut. The only time they were permitting is mishum shvut, is because the shvut is a din derabanan. Let's read it again, and then you need to explain. There's a chisuri mechzer. There's a ton missing here. Okay, the Gemara adds in. Okay, Rabbi Shimon says that makom she'tiru l'chachamim, if the chacham permitted mishalchan adnu lecha, they allowed you. Shelo itiru lecha el mishum shvut, they only permitted mishum shvut. Let's read the Bar Tanura and explain what we're talking about. Okay, in the last Mishnah, he says the following: Rabbi Shimon palig at Tanakama de Le'el. He argues on the Tanakama. The Amar koshrim nima b'mikdash. If you recall, in the last Mishnah, we learned in Mishnah Yud Gimel, we learned the following. The Tanakama said, Koshrim nima b'mikdash. In the Beit Hamikdash, if you have let's find my picture. If you have a stringed instrument, remember we said you can tie the nima, you can tie it. Okay, you can't tie a string from new, but you can, if it breaks, you can retie it. That's what we learned on our Mishnah. So, based on that, let's go back to our Mishnah. The Bartanura says the following. This is all based on the Gemara. We learned, the Tanakama says, Koshrim nima b'mikdash. V'savar, so Rabbi Shimon says, En koshrim nimat kinur ela ba'aniva. No, you can't tie it. You have to make a bow. And the bow is only asura mishum shvut bilvad. Okay, that's Isur Derabanan. Like even outside the Beit Hamikdash, it's Derabanan. V'i efshar shiavo lidei chiyuva deoraita. And if you tie a bow, you can never come to an Isur Deoraita. Avalo koshrim bekesha. But even the Beit Hamikdash, you can't tie with a tie. She'efshar lavo lidei chiyuv deoraita. That could theoretically bring to chiyuv deoraita if it was permanent. Okay, so now Rabbi Shimon says, V'amar le Rabbi Shimon the Tanakam. Rabbi Shimon says, Rega, al titama alai. Shani machmir kan. He says, wait, Tanakama says you're machmir. The gabi tchumin ani mekel tfei. And in the case of tchumin, I am more lenient. So in order to understand this, you have to go back to our Mishnah in Perek Dalid Mishnah Yud Aleph, which of course you all remember, because the halacha is the following. And the Tanakama says, if you go outside the tchum, even 1 amah, then you can't come in. Once you're at 2,000 amot and 1, sorry, you can't come in. You have to stay there till the end of Shabbat. Okay? Rabbi Shimon says, no. Afilu 15 amot yikanes. Even 15 amot, if you're up to 2,014 and a half amot, you can come back in. Why? Because the ropes that they used were not exact. They were a little short. So he says, even if you're outside the 2,000 amot, you have up to 15 amot, you can still come in. So Rabbi Shimon is much more mekil in tchumin. And here we see in the kinor case, he's more machmir. So Rabbi Shimon says the following, he says, Al titama alai, shani machmir kan, ve'agabe tchumin ami mekel tfei. He said, don't ask me, hey, why are you machmir here and in tchumin you're more mekil? Okay, why? Degabe tchumin mishelcha natnu lecha. Because in the case of tchumin, the chachamim, they said 2,000, but it's really yours. 2,015 is really 2,000. That's what he's saying. The extra 15 are yours. Mishum diyadinan, we know the otam chameshesei einam chutz latchum, because I know the extra 15 are not chutz latchum. Okay? But, aval likshor nima b'mikdash, but to tie a string, shelo hitiru b'mikdash ela shvut, isur shvut, lo chiyuv d'oraita. They only permitted a shvut, not an isur d'oraita. Ani machmir, so in that case, I'm machmir. V'omer, and I say, the davka anivash yesh ba'ish mishum shvut, hitiru, a bow that is asur mishum shvut tied. Aval likshor kesher mamash, but to tie a real knot, that sometimes the chiyuv d'oraita low. That I don't permit. Let's go back to the Mishnah and hopefully we'll understand. Rabbi Shimon says, Makom she'itiru l'cha chachamim, when the chachamim permitted in the case of the tchumin, mishoncha natnu l'cha. That's yours, so that's why I was mekil. But in the case of the string, I was machmir. Why? Shelo hitiru l'cha. The only reason the chachamim said you're mutar in the Beit Hamikdash to tie the string is a mishum shvut. Is because it's a dirabanan. And if you tie the string regularly, that could be a d'oraita, and that's why I'm machmir in the case of the string. It's really unclear why this ends up. I guess why this is brought here in this case. Why didn't this become the little ending? Why didn't they add this part of Rabbi Shimon after Mishnah Yud Gimel? I don't really know, but some say because that's the Kahati says. Some say it's just a nice way. It's brought, it's a nice way to end Masechtot, Shabbat, and Eruvin. All right, this ends with our study of Masechet Eruvin and our study of Masechet Shabbat. If you've been here all along, I really appreciate it. It's exciting to me to learn this with you. If you have any comments or questions, please contact me, arspoter@gmail.com. We'll dedicate our learning to the memory of my father, Rav Simcha ben Yisrael Kalman. And the last thing I'd ask with you is if you're enjoying the learning and you appreciate it, please share it with friends and spread the wealth. Have a great day.